cat hair and dust. Delicious. Hello everyone, so today we're gonna paint or draw with a glass pen. Some of you might remember that I made a video where I have tested this thing out, but it was just a short little part of that video and I've been really wanting to test this thing out for real. I think it is so cool. Look at the swirls and the pen nib, it is so pretty. It reminds me a little of a horn of a unicorn. This is called a dip pen, where you dip the nib in ink and the ink will stay in these little grooves, and while you're drawing the ink will flow down to the pen nib, so that is pretty nifty. And I have a couple of different inks here. I don't have that many fancy colors. I have some greens and purples and a red, and I also have a gold. Ooh, that is interesting. It looks like it has separated. And now it's bubbly. I also have a blue and I have a white ink that I thought might be interesting to try on black paper. And then I also have a couple of black inks. So basically I'm gonna see if I can make some kind of art with these pens. So I have some different paper types here. We have black paper, just regular drawing paper, and a little thicker watercolor paper, just to experiment a little and see what will work or not. So on the smoother drawing paper, it is clear that the calligraphy inks works the best, which isn't really a surprise since it is basically made for fountain pens and dip pens. And also the, I have no idea how to pronounce that, Iroshizuku Takeizumi ink, which I also believe is made for fountain pens. It also worked great. The Liquitex acrylic ink and the India ink and the gold ink and also the Amsterdam acrylic ink did not work that great, unfortunately. Then on the rougher watercolor paper, the ink still works, but it is very difficult to draw on these bumpy textures. I would like a little bit of texture for one of the drawings, but I don't think I will have this much texture, so maybe something in between. Then the black paper, which I did only try the white Daler-Rowney acrylic ink. So I first tried the ink straight from the bottle and it didn't work that well, probably because it is acrylic ink and it is a little thicker and not as fluid as the calligraphy ink. So I tried to add some water to it to make it a little more fluid, and that actually worked pretty well. As you can see, it showed up a lot better on the paper when I added some water to it. So I'm super happy that that worked, so I can make a white drawing on top of black paper. So now when I know what kind of inks I'm gonna use, let's get started with the drawings. I wanted to first try out the white ink on black paper as a little warm-up to get a feeling for the glass pen and the material. So I made a sketch in Procreate of a little Sphinx. I have never met one myself, but just looking at them, I think they are so cool and they are fun to draw to with all their wrinkles and the big ears. Do any of you guys own a Sphinx, or do you know anyone who does? What are they like? Do they need clothes so that they don't get cold, or how is it? Let me know, I'm curious. And yeah, I know that you aren't really owning any cats, you are just a humble servant to them, but I am pretty sure that they loves us too. Anywho, I mixed some more white ink with water and then I started inking this kitty. I am so happy that it worked that well to thin out the ink to make it more fluid, because drawing on black paper with a white ink was one of the first things that I thought I wanted to do when I decided to draw with a glass pen again. And what I felt straight away, and it's nothing bad really, it is just different than what I'm used to. The nib is obviously very stiff because it is made out of glass. Regular felt tips or even pens with metal nibs can be sort of flexible anyway, but glass does not bend or move at all, because then it would just break. So that was an interesting experience. You can kind of taper the lines a little if you make a quicker line or stroke and then lift the pen a little at the end, but there isn't really any way to get any line weight unless you go back over the lines again to add some extra thickness here and there. It is a simple little drawing, but I think this Galaxy Sphinx kitty turned out so cute. It was a perfect warm-up, and even if I have worked with this pen before, it was so long ago, so it was a good way to get a feeling for it before moving on to the next project. And for this next drawing, I actually picked an old sketch of mine that was supposed to be turned into an acrylic painting a while ago, but that never happened. But I really loved the sketch, so I decided to use it for this instead, and that is why I always save my sketches, just in case I would need it in the future. What I noticed right away is that this black ink, it bled like crazy. I first thought it was because of the texture in the watercolor paper that I'm using, but the other inks almost didn't bleed at all, so I don't know what's up with that. Maybe this ink works better for fountain pens and not so much dip pens. I ended up using the red and the purple calligraphy inks the most, mainly because they were the best and most fluid inks to use with this dip pen, but also because I really like the color combination. As you may have noticed by now, I am drawing a Husky pup, and I don't know why, but I just love drawing red Huskies. My boyfriend actually came into the studio while I was working on this, and he said, you're drawing your signature dog, and yeah, maybe that is what it is. I may be a cat lady, but red Huskies are my signature pups, apparently. So this is one of these rare once in a blue moon drawings where you don't really know what you're doing, but you're just doing it anyway, and it somehow turns out great. I am in love with this drawing, and it also feels good to actually produce some decent art, especially after last week's throw up. But don't worry, it is buried down in the garden now, so we don't have to think about that anymore. I didn't really have a plan for how to draw the fur. It can sometimes be a little tricky to make it look shiny and natural, and usually when I don't have a plan, I tend to think too much and I get insecure and I just ruin it all. But now I just decided to enjoy it and relax, and I had so much fun working on this piece. I also want to mention that I have been drawing a lot of animals and fur with fine liners especially, so I sort of have an idea how to do it, but drawing with a glass pen is a new experience for me. Liquid ink tend to work and behave a little differently than regular fine liners, and I am so glad I decided to revisit this pen. It is so smooth and fun to use. I have tried regular dip pens before, the ones with a metal nib that looks like fountain pens, but I never got to become friends with them. But now thinking back, I probably used the wrong ink, since I remember the nib being clogged all the time and I didn't understand why and I got frustrated, but maybe I will try it again sometime with the right kind of ink. I will probably use glass pens again. One thing I might consider though is maybe getting one with another type of handle or grip, because this one is twisted, so it makes it a little weird to hold after a while. It starts to move around in your hand, and when you're working with ink, you want a steady grip. So I combined both regular hatching and cross hatching with denser strokes where I wanted the colors to be more intense and sparser strokes where I wanted a little bit of shine in the fur. And I really like the effect of the purple and the red together. It works a little like shading, which gave the drawing more depth, I think. And I was so worried all the time that I would smudge the ink with my hand, but I think since this is made for calligraphy, it dries a little faster, thankfully. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with this glass pen, as I said a million times now, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you're new here and click on the little bell to get notified every time I post new art and videos, and I hope I will see you next time. Thank you so much for watching, keep drawing my happy cats, bye!